So still just waiting to see if it will be possible for Stevie to rejoin the lobby at this point. We do apologize for the long wait here between qualifying and race. It certainly has been some time now. And it seems like the stewards has taken the decision that sadly we are gonna start without Stevie, it seems. And that is just, well, it is sad by all means. And of course we do hope that it will not affect the outcome of the overall standings in any way, even though given the close nature of the GT Pro standings at the moment, it could just go and do so. So we might wait for a last shot, last chance. It is not yet confirmed. And once more, can I just say that Snipperator taking pole position on his return to the LMP class and having been away from the LMP field since, well, even before the end of Season 3 here in Nuke Shot. It is really, really strong. It is a very strong comeback, just coming in to take the pole position, albeit by a very, very small margin from Nilseman. And as we see, and of course we will be putting timestamps in for the actual starting points of both qualifying and race when the stream is done, so it will be easy to navigate through. Here as we follow Snipperator here around for a lap, coming through the first chicane, very difficult exit there with an off camber. Down towards the right kink before the hairpin. This one is flat out and then hard on the brakes in there. In towards the apex and then early on the gas there, using as much of the track as possible. Usually you won't see a Beetle facing the wrong direction there. Into the S's. So important to get the right line and the right amount of power dosage through that first part in order to get a fast run here. And this is where we really see one of the strong sides of the Peugeot 905, the top speed into the super hard braking zone here, coming down towards this tricky hairpin that it opens up. It's a long corner anyways, and that leads down to the bus stop chicane. And let's see if he will have to lift. That did not sound like a lift to me, really. And now Snipperator here taking us through the last right-hander open hairpin, but also with a positive camber there, meaning that you can take quite a lot of speed through that last turn. And that completes a lap of the seaside layout here in imaginary Croatia. Where the skies are blue, the women are beautiful, and the chicanes are made of death. Oh, and Stevie is back. Stevie has joined the room once more. Let's just... I'm crossing my fingers right now that everything is okay, that everything is in order. Because that means that hopefully, shortly, we will get the racing action underway. Oh, for crying out loud, PD. So once more, I rejoin as well. I see there are still 4 of you watching out there, man. You are some patient individuals out there still hanging on. We actually had, I think, 11 people watching at some point, so yeah, I understand that most of those folks didn't have the patience that PD requires of folks when we were to watch some kind of race here. Anyways, hopefully this time we will be able to see everybody on track. Hopefully we will be able to catch the action properly. As we return, we see them all, I think. Yes, we do. That is really good. And just as we get back to the action, the LMP drivers has just about begun their warm-up lap. And that means we can go through the grid now. Snipperator here, as we said before. Oh God, we have the problems. The problems, they will just not take an end here. Stevie is stuck on grid. Stevie is stuck on grid. And now I suppose it is up to the race direction whether we're going to have a restart for that or not. Surely we've already been waiting for a long time, so this might be a problem for Stevie here, as teammate Trial 666 is now leading out the GT Pro field. And we've had CJ stop also. This time around, the LMP field is coming towards the final turn. 2 rotary cars, 2 pure diesel engines, and a single diesel hybrid. Be interesting to see how it goes. Mika here in the diesel hybrid. The aforementioned Audi R18. And that is also a Rotterdam performance car. That is what I thought. Anyways, we're about to get the LMPA field off the line. It is Snipperator leading him down, and it is his decision when to go full throttle. They will have to take care now because the car of Stevie is going to be stuck there. Oh, what Mika goes onto the grass, and there is just a bit of squabbling about there. It leaves Snipperator clear off the line with the 2 Masters on his tail, but a little bit of a gap there. Off happens into P4. With Mika and P5, they are getting really squirmy out of turn 1 as well. And having said that, we will just see the GT cars now as they get out onto their race start. Trial 666 is the decider of when to go here, side by side with CJ. And he gets a really good start there, it seems. Trials punching a clear hole down to those beetles as Joe of the Fire goes to the inside. Attempts to make the move there, not certain that he could make that stick. Oh, he actually ended up maybe even losing a position out to Sparks, who was coming around the inside there. No, Joe is able to keep the master in front. So Trials getting the superb start here in the GT class already with a 1.5 second lead down to CJ, who is under huge pressure from teammate Armored Core there. Joe of the Fire now in P4 and Sparks in P5 in class. And Nilseman having taken the lead there. Snipperator, he's battling off Mika. He lost a bunch of positions there on the opening lap. Now just defends his P3. The two masters there looking like they've gotten a really clean start. So still Snipperator here and off Apple now doing battle. And Mika just seemingly disappeared right there also. So just doing a quick damage check here through the AM LMP field. Still doesn't seem like anyone is hit by the damage, but Snipperator on those racing hard tires, coming under pressure from Apple on the softs. That is gonna be a difficult one. GTO. Oh, and he has a big accident there at the bus stop. Mika there was lucky not to make contact. He lost a bunch of time there, but at least he didn't hit anything. GTO there, poor luck for him. Trials now with a 3.5 second gap down to CJ, who in turns has Armored Core and Sparks for company. Joe of the Fire just in behind there. He's also on the medium tire, so some longer stints are what we are going to see from Joe of the Fire there. So blistering start there from Trials 666. Strong work as Armored Core goes to the inside of CJ down there towards the opening hairpin down before the bus stop. And that might open the door also for Sparks. Oh, seems like Sparks just got a bad exit from the chicane there. But Trials, what a start from Trials. Super strong display here. Looks like the Aston is really strong around here. Joe of the Fire there, he is already just losing ground to Sparks 360, who in turn is hanging on to the backs of CJ and Armored Core really well, but Joe of the Fire just can't afford to lose out so early here. And now also it looks like the LMP field is just getting that slight bit of spread in between the cars. We have the two masters of RLA Premium Motorsports in front. Once more it is Nilseman leading, Ninja Karma in second. Snipperator on those hot tires, he's still in third position with off Apple close behind now. Mika having caught up to Apple and looking to get a strong run down towards the hairpin here. Let's see, will he make the move stick? The Dutchman, as he's on the inside. But Apple there carrying a strong amount of speed around the outside there. Mika maybe just stopping up a bit too much. And now really close in together here through the bus stop, just losing a bit of time also there. So Trial 666 still in the lead by 2.7 seconds, so lost a little bit of time down to Armored Core. And just going through the GT field for a check of damage to the drivers. Here come the Masters through the traffic. So already and always interesting here when that happens. We see Ninja Karma doing a pretty strong job of keeping up with his teammate, but Nilseman is strong through the traffic here. As we see Sparks now getting really close to CJ. And Sparks on those racing soft tires, he will hope to be able to make a move stick within too much time while he still has the tire advantage on CJ. As Snipperator gets the overtaking done just before the body stop. Of course, still Armored Core in front of the two here, but these two are really close at the moment. So really a battle worth watching at this moment. Here comes Mika to get his overtaking done, and just as we say that, I think Sparks just might have made a little mistake there. But he did get the better exit, and now he's coming into the slipstream of CJ. Now with off Apple being a little bit unlucky with his timing here to make the passes, coming in through the first sector in the most twisty part of the circuit. As we see now CJ just being able to defend his lead down to Sparks there and doing quite, I must say. As we see Armored Core now having at least slightly closed the gap up to Trials in front. Armored Core is doing well. He has a 2-second gap down to CJ, who is in P3 in class. Still, we have the two Masters leading the LMP class, with the Peugeot of Snipperator in third position. So once more, it's off Apple taking the GT leader here. And Trials, who on the first couple of laps had a really good advantage of, well, 3.5 seconds at some moment. He must have made some small mistakes, because at this moment, having lost a little bit of time, now coming onto the straight where the Aston can really stretch his legs. As I'm just noting now that Stevie said that he was sorry for delaying proceedings, and to call it pretty annoying, well, that is mildly put. Having put all the practice and preparation into doing a race, and then just finding out that, well, there is no race. I guess that's the equivalent of having some car failure, unfixable car failure just before the start or something. I don't know what that translates into. Anyways, it is so unfortunate, terrible luck for Stevie. And now his teammate Trials is trying to hold on here. We are seeing the effect of those super soft tires beginning to get some wear onto him now, as Armored Core just edges closer here. He's taken a couple of tenths since they were here last time around here. Those Trials get nicely around the hairpin, and in turns just gains a little bit of time back. So we go to ride inside with Trials 666 here on the rear mounted camera. It's even better here when we take it in the roof perspective. I think it will be even better when we remove this stuff. course, now the blue flag is coming up, and that is because even more traffic is coming up to overtake. That is the car of Apple. He is P5 in his class, and Mika has taken second position, and Snipperator is up into second. Oh, CJ has a moment. Oh, there's Armored Core, of course. That is, of course, Armored Core, who had a huge moment there. CJ also sideways. Trials seemingly losing some time there in traffic, and now coming under a bit of pressure as he goes wide there in the S's. Oh, that is going to lose him a lot of time here. Just look at Armored Core having the run. But Armored Core goes wide and he goes off. Armored Core spins and he's off, and now it's CJ up into second position in class, coming to challenge up for the lead now here. F's in chat for Armored Core, who just took a ballet pirouette there, coming down the straight, going too wide. Out of the final one of the S's there. Well, CJ is looking to take advantage of the cornering speed of that Beetle. Just trying to get into the slipstream of the Aston and having some success, it must be said. And just as we say that, Trials is pitting in. So we're having Trials pitting in at this moment. He's coming in on his Super Softs, and they are quite worn also, to be honest. Armored Core also in at this moment, and his regular softs also having gotten really worn. So now CJ is in the lead. His mediums are still, well, not daisy fresh, but they are still quite fresh. Sparks in turn. His soft tire is also getting quite worn. Let's see if the tire wear of Joe of the Fire, but that is also looking quite good. Just having a look at the LMP drivers, it is Nilseman nursing a 13-second gap down to Snipperator. With 5 seconds in turn down to Ninja Karma. Mika is in P4, Apple in P5, and GTO there is in P6. CJ getting a little close to the grass there, coming out of that hairpin before the bus stop. Let's see how he fares through the bus stop. Deals with it quite well. Then goes for Sparks and Joe of the Fire. And the next one coming through, that is Trials 666. And he is, of course, looking to put in some flying laps at this moment. So we have Sparks pitting in now, and that means that he will be going down the order. We're looking at him in the pits here. So just that little bit of fuel, fresh racing softs, and now Armored Core is all over his back, but he did come out in front of Armored Core. So now there's a battle for what is effectively P4 and 5 in class. Trials is now up into third and is on those fresh tires, so he will be going fast at the moment. He is quickly shaving off time of the gap to the cars in front. Joe of the Fire, those medium tires are beginning to show some wear, and the same goes for CJ, though he has been a little bit softer on his tires, seemingly doing a good job of making them last. And this is, of course, always really, really important. And just maybe not to go to, oh, Steve, CJ there. I'm sorry, CJ gets a little out of order through the bus stop, but keeps everything in check in the end. Joe of the Fire. Oh, Trials is now catching up. We'll go riding here inside with Trials 666. Now within 2 seconds of Joe of the Fire. Here, look from the roof, the backwards facing roof cam of the Mazda. Just seeing Trials, he is getting closer and closer and closer. Just eating off that time on those super softs. Coming down towards the hairpin. See, that is just a massive speed difference. It is visibly faster than Aston Martin. Now as we're riding along with Trials, coming down towards the hairpin, he is in the slipstream of the Mazda. Oh, they're really close there. Just on the outside. Will he take him on the outside? Strong move from Trials 666. Moving up into second position and making short work of Joe of the Fire there in the Mazda, who will in turn now do his best to stay in the slipstream, and maybe he can pull off something coming down here towards the final turn. Oh, it seems Trials had him covered. And now the hunt for CJ is on for Trials 666. As Joe of the Fire there, he has a big moment and loses. Well, he loses almost a second there. Coming out of that last corner. So Trials up into second in class now. Snipperator's in the lead here. And that is of course because... well, it should be because Nilsemann has pitted. I would expect it. The 137 on lap 11. That is because Nilsemann is pitted and he is all over the back of Snipperator at the moment. But just look at the straight line speed of the Peugeot every time they get out of the corner, and just every time you... oh, as Nilsemann... oh, and they have Joe of the Fire right in front, and he goes off! Rest in peace, Joe of the Fire. I did not see him in front there. I don't know if there was contact. We just changed the camera angles. All of a sudden he was there, and he just went. And certainly that's not what we're used to seeing from him. Snipperator patiently get his overtaking done here, getting through on Trials 666, extending his race lead ever so slightly there. Nilsemann still in second position as CJ now comes into the pit, and that means that we will have Trials going back into the race lead in the GT class here. Heavy traffic around the Corvette. Oh, I'm sorry, the Corvette. That is what I'm used to saying from last season. Of course, the Aston Martin there in heavy traffic around Mika and Nilsemann. Now Mika having made up time. Nilsemann going wide there. Nilsemann looking shaky, and that is not something we've seen yet. Nilsemann has been so secure. He has just been going round and round and round in virtually every race so far. And now we see him being shaky, we see him losing time, and Mika is looking very fast at the moment. He is at least keeping himself within sight of that diesel Peugeot. And all these slow corner exits will just be yummy for that hybrid Audi. So an interesting battle also developing here now as we have Trials, as I said before, Trials in the lead once more of the GT class. We have Sparks in second after this pit round. But mind you, as we have an overtaking attempt there, Mika sends it up the inside, taking the lead of the GT, or I'm sorry, the LMP field. Very strong move there, getting a strong exit from the bus stop chicane, and there was really no chance for Snipperator, and he didn't put up a fight anyways there, just conceded. Oh, as he had a bit of a moment there, I think also Snip losing time coming out of turns 1 and 2 there, the first chicane. Through the kink now, Mika. Snip already having lost more than a second. So that hybrid Audi really showing some strong pace, just as it has done for the pros. Ninja Karma now in third position. Nilsemann having had huge problems now. And having pitted in, yeah, there was a 1:52 lap, so not the Nilsemann we have been used to seeing. He is half a minute down on class leader now, and he is in P5. So Mika looking strong, Snipperator looking strong, also inconsistent. Ninja Karma looking to catch up, and in the meanwhile it is Strauss with an 8.5 second lead now down to Sparks, who in turn is fighting off Armored Core. And CJ down there in... Well, he's down there in fourth position at the moment in class. Joe up the fire. We haven't seen much of him, but he has had some horrible laps. With a lap of 2 minutes and 10, he is a long way back. And he will really have some work to do over the remainder of this race, if it will even be possible to put himself back into contention. Strauss having been looking so strong so far for this race. And now the battle is on here between Sparks and Armored Core. As we have Sparks there on the inside, sends it, and closes off actually. Armored Core not able to make his move stick there. Strong defensive work from Sparks. Armored Core really putting on the pressure at this moment. He is right on the bumper. Just looking to take advantage of the slipstream for as long as possible. That might be a bit of a move to make there on the outside of Sparks. Can he make that stick coming through the hairpin? That is a brave move. And they are still side by side more or less here. No, Armored Core just slots in behind as they come down towards the bus stop, recognizing that there is no way it's going to work out too wide down through there, but all the way through. This is just yummy for Trell 666. The more they battle behind, the more he's going to run away with this one out in front. CJ here is on a 2-stop strategy. Armored Core, he's on a 3-stop, as is Trells and Sparks. And you would also expect Joe of the Fire to be on the 2-stop strategy. And for the LMP cars, I think we have Mika on what I think will be a 3-stop strategy. Snip, that looks like a 1-stop strategy for him. And then Ninja Karma, Off Apple, and Nilsemann also, for that sake, also on 3-stoppers. And that also goes for GTO, who has damage. So GTO must have had some kind of incident, as he gets very squirmy there coming out. And that is more than squirmy indeed, as he gets it all wrong coming into the pit lane. But at least not something that's going to cost him that much time, given the fact that he's coming right in to get that damage repaired. But Mika here looking strong, maybe going a bit there, deep there into turn 1. And as the soft tires on that Audi is getting worn, slowly we're seeing Snipperator just starting to catch up. And those hard tires are still looking like they have whatever grip they had at the start of the race, more or less. Snipperator has a solid 14-second lead down to Ninja Karma. Ninja Karma off Apple, and well, Nilsemann just got out more or less on some fresh tires, but he is also half a minute down on race leader Mika. So Snipperator, the pole setter also for the day, still looking like he's in a really strong position. Trails now with a 9.2 second lead also to the drivers behind, so a really strong showing from him. As we are coming close to the window for the second pit stop also here for 3 stoppers, which would mean that he is getting close to his pit stop, and if he's not losing time at this moment, then it certainly is looking strong for him. Armored Core there on some really worn tires, and he and Sparks is still going at it. And he has taken second position in class, but he has by no means shaken off, Sparks 360 in the Nuke Shot BMW, who is still right on his tail. Seems the BMW is just lacking a bit of pace through the corners, but is in turn able to make it up on the straights. Though no one of the two are close enough for any kind of move there. As we see CJ coming up from behind now, CJ having made up a big chunk of time on the drivers ahead, and he has had some good laps as well. Also gaining on race leader Trails. So at this moment, CJ looking strong, also having gained on Joe of the Fire. Meanwhile, Mika also having gained a bit more of an advantage now, leading by 5.5 seconds down to Snipperator, who's also in turn lost a bit of time down to Ninja Comet, but Snipperator also getting close to his pit stop window, if he indeed is on that one-stop strategy now here, as we have had past the half the race gone marker. It is still very, very open in both classes here. Looks like Trails being on his last lap before that pit stop. Still with a 9.5 second gap down to Sparks. Oh, I think Armored Core has had a problem. No, Armored Core just been into the pits. So he's on a fresh pair of racing softs, but also now with clean air in front of him. So he might be able to pull off that undercut on Sparks 360. CJ also close to Sparks now. And as Sparks will come into the pit, probably on this round also. Not sure, you have to petrol to go around one more time. And gotta give you, Stevie, that Trails is certainly doing a fantastic job leading this race, holding on to this lead. Now he's coming into the pits. Let us see what kind of advantage he will hold on to coming out here. Sparks, well, hardly able to find his way into the pit lane there between those two Beetles, the two Word Beetles there. Barely made it. CJ now into the race lead. And it will be interesting to see where we will have the other cars exiting. So CJ there now in P7, Trails, or P7, that's overall, of course, he is in P1 in class. Trails is 13 seconds behind, but now on that fresh set of tires, that will make it easy for him to claw back some of that advantage if he can keep the same rhythm he's been keeping so far for this race. And also mind you that the racing mediums of CJ are getting worn at this point. It will be really interesting to see if he can keep it going. At this point, we're also just waiting to see whether the LMPs are gonna be having some pit stops at this moment. Mika, he certainly is. He's coming in for his second pit stop now, and this one will also require some refueling. Snipperator, he is on a fresh set of tires now. And the graphics say Racing Hearts, and I'm not sure if it would say so if he had changed. Certainly doesn't in the replays, but now that we are watching live, well, I wouldn't bet on it, but it could very well be that he is trying his luck with this one-stop strategy. However, Mika already out also, so Snipperator... Well, Mika already out, and I'd say he probably got a problem with the fuel there. He didn't put enough in the car. Nilseman also closing up at this moment. So Snipperator in front. He is just 7 seconds behind and still on pretty fresh tires. Your Ninja Karma comes out of pit. He is in P4 off Apple. He's coming into the pit lane at this moment with huge engine damage. So rest in peace to off Apple. Might just have been the chicane of death that took another life there. TJ, he is now up to an 11-second gap to Trials. So Trials might just have made a small mistake there, having lost a little bit of time. But in turn, still with a comfortable, almost 6-second advantage down to Armored Core. You see Armored Core though making it back some time here. It's difficult through the traffic. And there we are back after a short interruption. Anytime, anyways, we've had some stuff happening because Mika, having had issues with this fuel before on his pit stop now, and that also meant he gave away the lead to Snipperator. He is right back on his tail, and here he comes up the inside, down the hairpin. Snipperator defends well there, just shuts the door in time, and in the turn also gives him a good exit down towards the bus stop. Mika seemed just to lose a lot of speed coming through the chicane there, but rather that than suffer any kind of damage. Anyways, these two fighting open up the door from Nilseman, who's coming up from behind now. There's still more or less a three-way battle for the lead in the LMP class at the moment. And we see Trials is leading. We've seen CJ go into the pits. Now we have Armored Core in second position. As I said before, CJ having gone into the pits, getting fresh racing mediums on. Joe of the Fire up, having passed Sparks when he had his pit stop on lap 18, I suppose. And now those two are also having a close fight. And that is for P4 in class, of course. So now Sparks trying just to get the run on Joe of the Fire, the two Brits here. We've seen a lot of British superiority this season in the GT class. It doesn't seem like we're going to see any of it today. Back to following GT class leader Trial 666 at the moment here. Snipperator still holding out, still holding on to his lead in the LMP class. And you would really be expecting Mika to be able to make that pass. He is on the fresh racing softs. But Snip is an experienced driver. He knows how to defend. And seems to get the very best out of that Peugeot also. Coming out of those corners there. Nilse in P3 there, Ninja Karma in P4, Apple in P5, and GTO in P6. So just under 20 minutes of racing to go. Trials now with a 6-second advantage down to Armored Core, who is, in turn is just over a second in front of CJ. Armored Core on some tired rubber at this moment. He is certainly going to be losing some time now to Trials, who seems to have done a very good job of conserving those super softs over this stint. Certainly some really strong driving there from Trial 666. CJ is in third position in class, but he is there lurking behind Armored Core on fresh mediums. Would expect him to have done his last pit stop of the race already, and with that said, he might still just be a race contender because he is no more than about 7 seconds behind Trials at this moment. As we see Armored Core just really beginning to suffer with the tire wear at this moment. And that might be it, yeah, as we see CJ making his way up to second position and Armored Core dipping into the pits now. And with almost 18 minutes of racing left, that is a little bit early. So he will definitely have some very worn tires come the last laps of this race. We're looking at the pace of CJ compared to the pace of Trials. It seems to go the way of the Greek driver, but he's also on some quite fresh tires, even though he has managed to put in some wear to them already. We will be following this gap with interest because, well, it is going to be the decisive gap. I think it's going to be down to these two drivers, CJ or Trials, for victory here today in the GT class. Snipperator is still holding on to the lead here as Mika tries to go to the inside there. Then Snip has damage. There was contact there. And was that contact between himself and Mika? Mika has no damage. And what about the car of Armored Core there? Who could be the one, I think, who was in some kind of trouble. Also no damage for Armored Core. So certainly no luck there for Snipperator. A lot of damage now to that car as Mika goes to the inside. And this time I think he will make it stick. No, he won't. A brilliant cut back there from Snipperator. Might have had a little bit of contact there with Mika. Definitely some heated racing going on at the moment. And this in turn opens up the door for Nilsemann to come and join the party. And this might just be going in the direction of the German master driver after all, because he does not have any damage. He has relatively fresh tires. And he comes into the pits now to do his final stop. Snipperator also in to get the damage fixed. Mika, he is going on with the damage he has on. Trials now with a 7.5 second lead down to CJ. Also really nearing his last pit stop window, and it'll be a balance for Trials because he'll have the advantage of a shorter last stint, shorter pit time for fueling, shorter race distance for the tires also if he can keep it going on the tires that he has on now. But in turn he will be losing time for every lap he stays out on those older tires. So it is very much so something in the balance there, as CJ having gained half a second here. Oh, getting very close to the wall there, CJ, but not picking up any damage. Certainly Trials doing a very good job of keeping the speed in the Aston Martin there. We see CJ just losing some time now, and Trials coming into the pits. Trials is into the pits for his final stop. It'll be interesting to see how far he'll be behind CJ when they come out of the pits. We take it that CJ has done his last stop at this moment. Trials, seems like a long pit stop. Well, he has 13, 14 seconds to make up to CJ now, as he has Sparks 360 for company coming up on the outside. And Sparks make the move into P2. And just with Stevie noting in chat that CJ might have gone for another compound of tires and with another stop awaiting for him, it is true that the race might certainly open up. Let's see here. Sparks, will he be able to hold off Trials 666 coming through the S's? Looks like Trials has the run here, but he's on the outside. He tries to dip for the inside there, Trials goes. And he goes deep and wide, a little wide. And they're side by side still, completely side by side. Who is gonna yield? That is gonna be Sparks 360. That is some big balls driving by Trials 666 right there. Brilliant move in the end, made it stick there as Snipperator comes with the patient pass after the bus stop. Strongly followed by Nilsemann there as Mika is into the pits once more. So is that a damage fix for Mika? It might be. CJ also into the pits now. So let us see where he comes out compared to Trials at this moment. Now it's really getting interesting. CJ, he's still in there. He's coming out now. So CJ is out of the pits. And he is certainly going to be on the super softs at this moment. Sparks. Well, I'm not sure if Sparks is planning on finishing the race on those racing softs he's on now. I certainly think he will have a hard time finishing, at least while being competitive. As you see already now, Trials is pulling out ahead. And it might just play into the hands of Trials that right now Sparks is in between himself and CJ, because CJ might lose time having to pass Trials when he gets up to him. Let's see how long time that will take. CJ is around 2 seconds behind, so Trials with a good advantage at this moment should be able to hold on to it, given that he doesn't make any mistakes. It is gonna be a really interesting finale as we have Snipperator now leading with about 2 seconds down to Nilsemann, who in turn only has 1.5 seconds down to Mika. So in both classes we are down to, we're going to see racing that is looking like it's going to go absolutely to the wire. And definitely no doubt Sparks will need to pit again. TJ already now having caught up. And you are definitely right on that one, Stevie. It is going to be a thrilling finish here to the race. Just checking the time gap for trial 666 as he ever extends down to Sparks, who in turn is just losing time to CJ. And how much is Sparks just gonna act like a buffer, if you will, for trial 666 in front? With just over 10 minutes remaining, CJ is certainly gonna make his move, and he has to make it quickly. He doesn't have all of the time in the world to get past there. Is he gonna make short work of that through the S's? I think he is. That is very efficient driving from CJ indeed there to take P2 in class really quickly. But he does have a 5.5 second gap up to trial 666. As Sparks just goes deep into that corner. Snipperator still holding on to his advantage. He is definitely not on the racing hearts either anymore, because I think the wear would be clocking in a little bit quicker. Also, he's just done a 1:24.2, so that would not also be in line with the times we have seen him pull out on hards so far, so I do not think he is on racing hards. Nilsemann, we're just going to concentrate on the racing and the gaps from now on with 9 minutes remaining. Nilsemann now just not really looking like he's going to be able to pull in a lot in one chunk. And as I say that, he just take back 2/10, but then coming onto the straight, he loses some of that again. Mika has lost some time. He's now 6 seconds behind Nilse. Does he have a problem? No, he's just on somewhat worn tires. Oh, as he might have some damage after that incident going wide there, and that might rule him out of contention for this fight. So now it looks like it's going to be between the two Germans, Snipperator and Nilsemann, the two veterans of the series. As we're having a look here with trial 666, he's also lost some time. CJ is now, he has closed the gap to 4.6 seconds now, but we are also down to 8 minutes of racing remaining, so it's really gonna go down to the wire. Here following CJ. And behind those two, it's Sparks 360, Armored Core, and Joe of the Fire. It's been looking like Joe of the Fire have been having a race to forget. Certainly hasn't been his race today. Now Trials just holding on to those 4.2 seconds. And even dragging out a bit of that advantage coming down the back straight. The Aston certainly has the top speed advantage on the Beetle. GTO in the pits now. And Snip, it is just status quo and Snip. Oh, no for Snipperator. Horrible luck in the bus stop chicane. Certainly that must mean damage to the car. And somehow, on absolutely miraculous terms, he actually escaped, it seems at least, without any damage. Still able to contend and put the pressure on to Nilsemann, but with tires that are looking slightly more worn, it might be difficult. At least he had the chance to just take it home, and he sort of binned it, so now he has to do some offensive driving there, as Nilsemann completely bins it in turn one, and with the Snipperator escaping damage. That was certainly not the case of Nilsemann there. Terrible luck for Nilsemann. And that might just put it into the hands of Snipperator, just as we said that he had, well, binned it for himself. Nilsemann goes and does exactly the same, and that damage is going to be all decisive there for the LMP finish. Trials still with 4 seconds down to CJ, and we have 6 minutes of racing to go. And that's gonna translate into roughly 4 laps of racing. So about 3 or 4 laps to go for the GT drivers. And should be about 4 laps to go. 3 or 4 also, actually I think 3 laps to go for the LMPs also at this moment. Ninja Karma having set a really good fastest lap there though with a 1:23.9. Nilseman there, he must be kicking himself. He must be absolutely gutted with that mistake he made there. And Mika, he's 15 seconds back on Snipperator, so Snipperator not under any kind of pressure. He just needs to keep his cool at this moment, stay composed, and get the last 5 minutes of the race over with here as we have Nilseman pitting in. That is what we'd expect him to do at this moment, and that also means that Mika is gonna grab P2. Now Trials just heading us a 10th more down to CJ now, who's edging ever closer and closer and closer. And that was actually a big chunk of time just having gained there, but CJ, if we're gonna take a look at him and how he's faring along. Oh, gets a big squirmy moment there out of the chicane. Still, luckily for him, his car is intact. Gets the superior exit, it seems, on Trials. But it doesn't count for that much because the Aston just has the straight line speed there. Trials 666. Our race leader, he has been putting in such a strong performance today. He needs to hold on for a few more minutes and victory will be his. And right now he is looking strong and composed. So this will be the ones to follow for the last couple of minutes here as we have some traffic coming up. That is GTO coming to pass the car of CJ first. Into the S's here. Oh, CJ just having lost some time there. He's now 3.1 seconds behind. And he's gonna probably lose a bit more coming down the back straight here. Down towards the hairpin. As Trials, that is a really good time for him to extend just that little bit. Now let's just hope for a clean pass here. I think GTO is going to play the very, very, very patient card, it seems. Oh, Trials just getting squirmy on the exit there, but luckily for him, no damage. Just a touch of the barrier there, as we saw. As we've seen a number of drivers doing in the chicane today, we've also seen quite a number of the SEC 8-second gap now down to CJ. And CJ has engine damage. CJ, it has engine damage, and that is the end of the race pretty much for him. Of course, he's going to be able to finish and everything, but he's going to be throwing away positions. I think Sparks might be able to take him. Sparks also coming into the pits now to... And that might just be playing into the hands. Joe of the Fire is 40-second downs on these. Armored Core also must have been having some poor luck because he's behind Joe of the Fire and trying to close up. But the engine damage to CJ, that is playing into the hands of Trials 666, who at this moment now is sitting upon a 27-second lead. He is surely going to take the victory here. He just needs to cruise around for a couple of laps now. 2 laps remaining for him. His tires are worn, but he can easily now allow himself to take a foot off the gas a little bit. What a race it's been for Trials 666. We have seen him make very, very few mistakes. He had a squirmy moment we saw in the opening parts of the race up in the S's, but he has been looking more and more composed as the race has been going forward. And now he has a commanding gap that he can nurse upon. And it seems we have the race pretty much decided now. in both classes because Snipperator is also 11 seconds in front of Nilseman, who's going to have a hard time closing that kind of gap in the space of a single lap, even though Nilseman having just set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:23.6. So that is a really fast lap there. Mika was in P2 before. He must have had some kind of... Well, he's had some really slow laps there with the 1:36.9 and a 1:33.5 to follow. Though not really slow enough to be pit laps. Had he just had a spin? Had he had some problems? I don't really know. As we cannot catch all the action all the time, it is still Trial 666 leading. And it is on his final lap, just being overtaken by a Snipperator. In turn, this is also his final lap of the race. Nilseman having eaten in 2.5 seconds of that gap already, but still, I find it a little hard to believe that he's actually going to close it all the way up. No matter how much time he gains. 8 seconds of the race remaining. So GTO is going to be the first finisher today, but not the first to finish the race. Oh, as he goes off track. And what a way to finish with him. He's going to be last in Class P6. Snipperator is going to take the victory in his first LMP race for the season. What a strong performance for him as Apple passes the line. As I said, Snipperator, big congratulations to the German, and Trial 666 for just the two of us racing is going to take the victory in the GT Pro class. What a performance. Sterling race from Trial 666, who just put on a perfect performance, staying clear of the incidents that hit the rest of the field here. CJ with damage once more, coming home for a Class P2. Nilseman having finished second in his class here. Mika comes home for another podium, beating Ninja Karma. He's gonna come home for P4, I'm sorry. As we see CJ also crossing the line, it's gonna be a podium finish also for Sparks 360. It's gonna be Joe of the Fire taking home 4th position. And last but not least, it's gonna be Armored Core finishing in P5 in the GT Pro field. So what a race we've had today. What a fantastically strong display from Trial 666 GT Pro class. It's been an amazing room for him. Snipperator also a damn fine display. Even though we just about thought that he had binned it, he might just have wasted his chance within the final 10 minutes there. But then all of a sudden it was just Nilseman binning it up in the first chicane under a bit of pressure, and that opened the door for an overall win for Snipperator. So super strong performance there. Anyways, it has been such a pleasure having you along for today. So even though we've had some delays, that is sometimes it is a bit out of our control, you can say, but of course we do still apologize. I will be adding timestamps for actual race start, qualifying and all that in the description below as soon as we are finishing here. But what a race we've had. An insane one, a great one with a lot of great action. Yeah, it's just been great once more. Big congratulations to Traso for his first win this season, and I think perhaps also his first win in the NES overall. I think great drive today. Big congratulations to Snipperator for his first win this season. Not his first win in the NES, but his first win in a long time. And great racing from all of the drivers today. So yeah. So you have been so until next time, take care, have fun, and see you around. Bye bye.
Is the stream over yet? Oh, Durden, man. Durden, my boy.
Yo, fuck, hvor det godt kørt, man.
Holy shit!